The first thing Sergeant Daniel Carter heard after stepping off the military transport wasn't a welcome home. It was a bank notification. Your available balance is $4.17. Daniel stared at the screen. 3 years overseas, 3 years of missed birthdays, late-night phone calls, and promises made through a phone screen. 3 years of wearing the uniform while his wife, Emily, raised their daughter, Lily, back in America. And now, after all those years, he was finally home, with $4.17. But that wasn't the part that hurt the most. Nobody was waiting for him. No wife, no daughter, no welcome home sign. Nothing. Daniel looked across the busy airport terminal. Families were hugging everywhere. Children were running into the arms of parents who had just returned. Flowers were being handed to soldiers. People were crying, laughing, and taking pictures. Daniel stood alone. He had no idea that the woman he loved was hiding the biggest secret of his life, and he had no idea that his daughter had been planning his real homecoming for months. 3 years earlier, Daniel had left home with one simple goal: protect his family and build a better future for them. When he married Emily, they started small. Then Lily was born. The first time Daniel held his daughter, he cried. Years later, when Daniel received orders for another overseas deployment, Lily was 8. The night before he left, she sat on the edge of his bed wearing pajamas covered in little stars. "Daddy," she asked, "how many sleeps until you come home?" Daniel smiled. "Not too many." "Promise?" He pulled her close. "I promise." She held up her little finger. "Pinky promise?" Daniel wrapped his finger around hers. "Pinky promise." The next morning, he left. Emily started working extra hours. Then she took a second job. Daniel could hear the exhaustion in her voice, even when she tried to hide it. He hated being thousands of miles away while his wife carried everything alone. So he started sending more money home. Every paycheck, every extra allowance, every dollar he could spare. "Use it for Lily," he told Emily. "What about you?" "I'll be fine." That became his favorite lie. "I'll be fine." Then, 3 years into his deployment, Daniel received the message he had been waiting for. His deployment was ending. He was coming home. During the final weeks overseas, Emily started acting strangely. Daniel noticed immediately. She stopped talking about the house. She avoided questions about money. Sometimes, when he called, she sounded like she had been crying. One night, he asked, "Emily, what's going on?" "Nothing. Please don't lie to me." There was a long silence. Finally, she whispered, "We need to talk about the house." Daniel's stomach dropped. "What happened?" "We couldn't keep it." Daniel closed his eyes. Their house. The little place where Lily had taken her first steps. The living room where they celebrated birthdays. The backyard where Daniel had built a swing with his own hands. The bedroom where he had kissed Emily goodnight before every deployment. Gone. He took a breath. "Did you sell it?" "Yes." Still, he told himself one thing. "At least I'll have them." That was enough. Or so he thought. When the plane finally landed in the United States, Daniel stepped onto American soil with his duffel bag over his shoulder. He walked through the terminal. He looked toward the entrance. Nothing. He called Emily. No answer. He called again. Voicemail. He sent a message. "I'm home." No reply. Then his phone buzzed. He expected Emily. Instead, it was his bank. He opened the notification. $4.17. He stared at the number. Then he laughed bitterly. 3 years of sacrifice. $4. He walked outside. A black SUV was parked near the curb. Then he heard a voice. "Sergeant Carter?" He turned. A man in a dark suit was standing beside the SUV. "My name is Michael Reynolds." "Do I know you?" "No." Michael smiled. "But I know about you." "How?" Michael looked toward the terminal. "Because of your daughter." Daniel froze. "What about Lily?" Before Michael could answer, a small voice came from behind him. "Daddy?" Daniel turned. Everything stopped. Lily was standing there. She was older, taller. Her hair was longer, but Daniel knew her instantly. She dropped the little sign she was holding and ran. Daniel dropped his duffel bag. He fell to his knees. Lily crashed into his arms. He held her so tightly that tears rolled down his face. "You got so big," he whispered. Lily cried into his shoulder. "I waited for you." Daniel closed his eyes. "I told you I'd come home." "You promised." "I did." After a few seconds, Daniel whispered, "Why didn't you come inside?" Emily pulled away. "Because this isn't the surprise." Daniel looked confused. "What surprise?" She looked at Michael. Michael nodded. "Let's go home." Daniel almost laughed. "We don't have a home." Emily smiled. "Yes, we do." They drove for nearly 30 minutes. Then the SUV turned onto his old street. Daniel's heart stopped. At the end of the road was a house he recognized immediately. Their house. But it looked completely different. The roof was new. The yard was clean. The front door had been painted. The broken fence was gone. Daniel stared. "That's not possible." Emily reached for his hand. "It is." A small wooden sign hung beside it. It said, "Welcome home, Daddy." Daniel touched it. His hand started shaking. He turned toward Emily. "You said we lost this house." "We did." "What happened?" Emily took a deep breath. 3 months ago, I thought we were going to lose everything. I was working 2 jobs, and even that wasn't enough. Michael stepped forward. "That video spread." Daniel looked at him. "How far?" "Far enough." Michael opened a folder. Inside were letters, bank documents, property papers, and photographs. Michael said, "A group of local business owners, veterans, and community members saw your daughter's video." Daniel looked at the papers. "What did they do?" Michael pointed to one document. "Your mortgage has been paid." Daniel stared. "What?" "The house is yours." Emily covered her mouth, but Daniel still couldn't understand. "Why would strangers do this for us?" Michael smiled. "Because sometimes people who have never met you can still recognize sacrifice." Daniel looked at Lily. She was crying. Michael continued. "But that isn't the only surprise." He handed Daniel another folder. Daniel opened it. Inside were business documents, a company name, a partnership agreement, and an employment offer. Daniel looked up. "What's this?" Michael said, "A group of veterans and business owners are starting a logistics company." Daniel frowned. "And?" "We want you to be part of it." Michael smiled. "We're not giving you charity, Sergeant. We're giving you an opportunity." Daniel looked at the papers again. For years he had worried about providing for his family. Now someone was handing him the chance to build something. Not just for himself, for Emily, for Lily. Daniel wiped his eyes. "But there's one thing I don't understand." Michael smiled. "The bank notification?" Daniel nodded. Emily started laughing. Daniel looked at her. "What?" She couldn't stop smiling. "The $4.17. Daniel's mouth dropped open. "You did that?" Emily nodded. "I changed the notification." Daniel stared at her. "You scared me half to death." Lily giggled. "It was supposed to make the surprise better." Daniel laughed. Daniel knelt beside her. She held out her little finger. He wrapped his around it. "See?" she whispered. "I told you you'd come home." Daniel smiled through his tears. "Yeah, sweetheart." He looked at his wife, then at his daughter, then at the house behind them. That night, Daniel walked through the front door. Old photos covered the walls, but on the wall was one new photograph. Daniel, Emily, and Lily, standing together at the front door. Underneath it were the words, "We never stopped waiting."
I thought I lost everything." Emily walked over and held his hand. "You didn't. You just didn't know what was waiting for you." Daniel pulled them both into his arms. Outside the window, an American flag moved gently in the evening wind. No alarms, no deployment orders, no distant battlefield, just his wife beside him, his daughter asleep down the hall, and the quiet sound of home. He looked around the room one more time. The kitchen table was still there. Lily's drawings were still taped near the refrigerator. Everything felt new. Daniel finally understood why the wait had been worth it. Home wasn't a building. Home was the people who kept a place in their hearts for you, even when you were thousands of miles away. And after 3 long years, Daniel was finally home. He was safe. For the first time in 3 years, Daniel wasn't counting the days until he could come home. He was home. And sometimes, the greatest victory isn't a medal. It isn't a promotion. It isn't money. Sometimes, the greatest victory is opening a door you thought you had lost forever, and finding the people you love standing on the other side. Daniel closed his eyes. For 3 years, he had protected people far from home. Now, he finally had the one thing he had been fighting for all along: a home, a family, and a second chance. The next morning, Lily woke him before sunrise. "Daddy?" Daniel opened his eyes. "What is it, sweetheart? Are you leaving again?" Daniel looked at her. Then he smiled. "Not today." Lily climbed into bed beside him. "Promise?" Daniel wrapped his finger around hers. "Pinky promise." And this time, the promise didn't feel like a wish. It felt like home.